Welcome to The Debrief, where we talk with the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the headlines they're covering this week and where the story's going next. I'm Sarah Westwood, and I'm here today with politics editor Jim Antle. And Jim, Republicans, they're coming in for their House majority in January.
Right.
That means that Biden's legislative agenda is probably going to be really difficult to advance, but is there anything that the White House will be able to do with this narrow GOP majority?
Well, now that they've got a little bit more breathing room in the Senate, they have more ability to get judges confirmed, to get their executive branch vacancies, should any arise, filled. So on that front, they're in pretty good shape. So Joe Manchin's power is a little bit less, still obviously pretty important. It's a narrow majority, but Democrats will have full control of all the committees in the Senate. Problem with that is that doesn't buy you very much legislatively. Obviously, things have to pass the House. Republicans will still be able to filibuster in the Senate, because it's not that many Democrats to break a filibuster. So, and they don't have reconciliation anymore. It's pretty much a non-starter because Republicans control the House. So the answer for what Biden can do is maybe more than zero, but not very much.
And, Republicans are obviously interested in investigating the Biden administration pretty heavily. There's been a lot of revelations lately about Hunter Biden, the laptop story, and also how Twitter handled it.
Right.
What do you think Republicans will be able to do on that front, and will normal people care?
Well, that's the big question, and I think that the combination of the Twitter revelations and whatever investigations House Republicans do are going to put this back out in the news. Question is it going to break through beyond conservative media? Is it going to get the wider attention that a lot of Republicans feel it deserves? And I think a lot of that is going to come down to whether Hunter Biden is ever criminally charged. If he's criminally charged, really on anything, but particularly if it goes beyond the tax and gun charges that there were some reports initially that looks like federal investigators think they have enough evidence to sustain criminal charges for. If it goes beyond that, it's going to be really hard for people to ignore it. But, obviously the questions about how Twitter handled the Hunter Biden story, clearly the laptop was a legitimate story. It was treated as Russian disinformation based on arguments from the federal government, the FBI. So those things turned out to not be true. That, regardless of what you think of the merits of Hunter Biden's business dealings themselves, is a pretty legitimate issue. To what degree is the federal government, people who we elect and unelected parts of the federal government, to what degree are they deciding or helping to decide what is posted on major media platforms?
Yeah, that brings me to my last question.
Sure.
Democrats have sort of dismissed the revelations from the Twitter files as, much ado about nothing, that there's nothing of significance that was revealed in those documents. But what do you think is the real issue at the heart of why these are significant?
Well, number one, I think that under Donald Trump, you had a lot of people in intelligence and in the FBI begin to sound, whether it's true or not, they began to sound as if they were partisan Democrats. So you'd have John Brennan and James Clapper and James Comey all talking about the former president in ways that they might as well have been resistance figures, they might as well have been MSNBC panelists. In many cases now they are MSNBC panelists, right? So I think that really casts a lot of doubt in the public's mind, rightly or not, in the impartiality of these people. And I think that this is another episode in which they've cast that kind of doubt. And I think we really need to have confidence in federal investigative authorities. And so it's very bad for them to behave in this way and for them to show any kind of bias, even if they feel in some sense that the former president deserved it.
Well, Jim, thank you so much for being here today. You can get more reporting from Jim and the rest of the political team at washingtonexaminer.com.